Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. It is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. Hope all of you are having a productive day today. Thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for tuning in. I know that there's a lot of channels out there. I know that you are all getting pulled in many directions with how you spend your time. But thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing to the channel, and most importantly, sharing these videos with family, friends, colleagues, and anybody who wants to understand current events, not just pay attention to what's being parroted by the mainstream media on the television every night. I try to offer a fresh perspective of some of the current events and mix in a sprinkle in a bit of flavor with things going on in my daily law practice and the ups and downs of owning and operating your own business, which I believe that all of us should be trying to do to the best that we can in these unfolding times. So with that being said, let's get into today's topics. I have a couple of important articles I want to share with you. One just hit in the last hour on the Zero Hedge, not even an hour, half an hour ago, about a huge Comcast data breach that affected over 36 million customers. So you want to listen to this one. But I just got off the phone I was on a conference call for about an hour with three other attorneys, one other attorney from the United States, from California, and two lawyers from Canada. And we all represent Canadian clients who also own property in this state. There's a dispute over the co-ownership, and the lawyers are trying to determine whether or not looking at the laws in various jurisdictions is a way to try to resolve the dispute without having the parties embarking on what's going to be or what would be a very expensive, time-consuming litigation in both Canada and in California. It's very interesting to me to see how the laws differ, not only from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, state to state, but country to country. And I learned a lot on this call today from these Canadian lawyers educating me as to how a title dispute would be resolved in Canada versus how California law would look at the issue. And it's very, very different. For example, what I was being told in Canada, if there's a title dispute, it's really black and white. You look to the title document, and there's very little extraneous evidence that can be introduced to try to, let's say, muddy the waters as to how title was intended to be held. In California, like everything else, it's one big gray area, which means you can literally be on title with somebody else, have an undivided 50% interest in the property, and when a partition action is filed by one of the co-owners, the courts there is a rebuttable presumption that if you're on title, that's how the party's intended title to be held. However, the California courts can look at equity. They can look at the behavior of the parties. They can look at various contributions of the parties. The court can look at how much sweat equity or time did a party put into improving the property. So all these other factors start to get introduced into the equation, and it dilutes the entire presumption about how title is held in the actual recorded records of the county. So anyway, very educational. I don't know if that's interesting to you guys or not, but you learn something new every day, and we're going to try to help the clients resolve this dispute before it gets out of hand. Okay, let me talk about the Comcast story. Just hit a Zero Hedge, and it says a massive data breach has compromised the personal information of nearly 36 million customers. Comcast released a statement on Monday this week stating that a recent data security incident occurred involving Citrix software. And it says, after additional review of the affected systems and data, Xfinity concluded on December 6th of 2023 that the customer information in scope included usernames and hashed passwords. For some customers, listen to this, they included other information that may have also included names, contact information, last 4 digits of social security numbers, dates of birth, and even secret questions and answers. So basically, everything was potentially leaked about up to 36 million Comcast customer accounts. I don't know if any of you are Comcast customers, but if you are, you may want to look into that and take it seriously. It says conveniently not included in the release, but disclosed in a follow-up reporting by phillyburbs.com was the fact that over 35.8 million customers were affected by the breach, according to a report with Maine's Attorney General. Comcast has said it is requiring all of its customers to reset their passwords, and it's encouraging its users to use 2FA in the future. That's second level factor authentication. So that's what they're suggesting. Xfinity advises customers not to reuse passwords across multiple accounts. The company is recommending that customers change passwords for other accounts for which they use the same username and password or security question. So this is kind of a nightmare. It could have far-reaching consequences. There are definitely a lot of people out there that will seize on private information, take advantage of it for their own personal gain. Unfortunately, that is the society we're living in today, where there are a lot of unscrupulous people out there. So guard your information carefully, folks. Boy, it's very frustrating that this happens. Because we are forced to participate for the most part in this system, and to have all of this information put into various hands of various third parties for us to avail ourselves of everyday services. And when something like this happens, it just makes you realize how vulnerable this information is. So that is news just broke. Please heed that and be careful with your private information. The next story, which is big news this morning, I'm sure it'll be covered all over lots of other channels today, is Federal Express. This is out of CNBC this morning. Fedex shares tumble 12% after weaker demand hits revenue outlook. I think on a show maybe about a month or a month and a half ago, I addressed FedEx and UPS and how the slowing demand was impacting their earnings and their revenue. So this hit FedEx today, and they're also giving soft guidance into 2024. It's a real bellwether, right? Because they have their finger on the pulse of not only shipping and air freight, but also how much the consumers are using the services. Here's the article. And by the way, I checked the share price of FedEx. Market's closed as of right now, but it did not rebound in after hours. It closed down about 12% today. It says FedEx shares fell 12% Wednesday after the morning package delivery giant cut its revenue forecast as weaker demand hit sales. The company said it expects a low single-digit decline in revenue for the fiscal year, down from a previous forecast for flat sales year over year. Analysts had expected a revenue drop of less than 1% in the current fiscal year, according to LSEG, formerly known as Refinitiv. It's the second consecutive quarter FedEx has lowered its sales outlook. The company's express unit, its largest, was especially challenged in the quarter with lower demand, surcharges, and customers shifting to cheaper services. Again, it goes back to the willingness and the ability of the customer to pay for this. I will tell you this. I could go into U.S. Postal Service and do a priority mail overnight it's about almost just about $9. I went into FedEx the other day to ship something, and it was $36 or $37. So, it's a substantial difference, and people just can't afford even this stuff anymore. So that's what's hitting their bottom line. In the remainder of fiscal 2024, it says we expect revenue will continue to be pressured by volatile macroeconomic conditions. That means their consumers and their customer base are broke, negatively affecting customer demand for our services across our transportation companies. FedEx said in a filing, its fiscal year ends May 31st. I won't go into the stats of how they missed earnings per share. The revenues missed substantially, 22.17 billion versus 22.41 billion expected. Anyway, FedEx, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear the same kind of results coming out from other companies like UPS as well. All right, the last item I want to touch on just for a couple of minutes. It's complicated. It's kind of complicated to explain. I've been reading on this for the last 10 days or 2 weeks while it's been unfolding. I haven't addressed it on the show, but we have a nightmare evolving with the shipping routes in the Red Sea. And what's happening is, as a result of this Israeli-Hamas war conflict, the Iranian-backed Houthi militants have been attacking the commercial vessels as they are navigating through the Red Sea. I pulled off of Reuters how much of the world shipping and gas fuel goes through that area. It says about 12% of world shipping traffic transits the canal, and 4 to 8% of global liquid natural gas cargoes have passed through it in 2023. As much as 8.2 million barrels per day of crude oil and oil products traversed the Red Sea over the January to November time frame. So what we have is getting so serious that the United States, either yesterday or a couple days ago, announced that they were going to be initiating a new what's called Operation Prosperity Guardian in order to help escort these commercial vessels through the conflicted region. Of course, it's probably weeks away in terms of how it's all going to unfold. Meanwhile, what's happening is these large shipping companies are no longer willing to take the risk of having their ships attacked by the Houthis as they are going through the Red Sea, so they're diverting their ships. And what's happening is they are diverting the ships around, it says, the Cape of Good Hope, which is around, I believe, around Africa. So what's happening is will take a much longer time for this cargo to arrive to its destination. It says shipping companies including AP Moller, Maersk, AS, and Hapag Lloyd AG have diverted cargoes after the militants intensified the attacks. And what we're talking about is possible shortages of products. It says the current concern is that turmoil in the Red Sea might persist for weeks, possibly months, surpassing the 6-day blockage of the Suez Canal in 2021 caused by the Evergreen container ship incident. Global transport and logistics company CUNY and Nagel International AG report that 100 container ships have been rerouted from the Red Sea around Africa to avoid the Iran-backed Houthi militants in Yemen who are attacking the ships with missiles and drones. So it says this would lengthen travel time by 1 to 2 weeks. These commercial vessels still transiting the vital waterway that connect the Suez Canal, Bloomberg noted in a separate report. The cost of insuring these vessels now jumped this week alone from about 0.1% or 0.2% to the whole value of 0.5%. A $100 million vessel must pay about $500,000 per voyage, it says. Increased insurance costs plus more extended travel around the Cape of Good Hope only suggests snarled supply chains and increased price of goods. So it's going to potentially impact supply chains, and we have to keep an eye on this. There was an update released a few hours ago from Zero Hedge that says tracking the supply chain mess unfolding across the Red Sea is a post on X showing container ships with 8,000 or more 20-foot equivalent units, TEUs, in capacity have mostly diverted from the critical maritime trade route. It says every container ship over 8,000 TEUs, except for one, have turned from the Bob El Maneb, ex-user said and wrote. This means that all the major ocean container lines have abandoned the region, even after Prosperity Guardian was announced by the United States yesterday, the day before. So let's keep an eye on this because, you start to have an impact on goods arriving to shelves. It may very well have an impact on the cost of fuel. So we'll watch that as it unfolds. With that being said, I'm going to leave here in about an hour, go get my workout this afternoon. Please, all of you, get your steps in today. Please move, get some walking in, try to get some strength training in. Please drink your water and hydrate. I have my 1 gallon water jug sitting here on my desk that I'm working down throughout the day. Please, all of you, have a great evening tonight, and I will talk to all of you tomorrow. Bye.